Okay. All right. So, all right.
All
Welcome
right.
to the OpenPeeps office hours, second installment. We are live on StreamYard, hopefully broadcasting on LinkedIn, Instagram, and
We are.
TikTok or YouTube.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I'm Anka Moshoyu. I'm All Peeps head of product. And this is D'Angelo Sennett, our CEO. And feel free to come in and ask questions or whatever. But for today, what we can do is talk a little bit about the release that we're making. So OpenPeeps has been roughly since February. We've been on our Codeberg infrastructure, so we've been working on getting our processes in place and everything ready to go. But now we can actually show people all of the how the sausage is made, I guess. It's a good way to put it. So today we're going to do a release. We have a number of things that we've been testing in our staging environment. And the way that our process works, we have a development instance where we try out all the new code that people are writing. And then we have a staging instance where we publish the code that is ready to, we think is ready to go into production or into our stable branch, which is the same thing for us. So we've been testing the release that we plan to do today for, I think, roughly 4 days on our staging environment. We don't have a huge number of changes. This was a mostly bug fix release. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how we do this. So each release starts out as a pull request. So I'm going to be pulling from staging and pushing into stable, and I'll just type it here because it's down at the bottom. And then Codeberg is comparing the changes, and it looks like we have these changes. So there's a number of bug fixes, cleaning up our old theme files, etc., cleaning up some favicon issues. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and make a new pull request, and then release 2026-07. I think it's good. I think it's 720. Let's see what was the other. So earlier I did a pull request into staging. Yeah, so release candidate 2020-720, which was merged 2 days ago. And we can then I'm just going to copy this note. Sometimes we have multiple pull requests that go into a release, and then I aggregate them. But this one is the one that's working. So we're just going to go ahead and do this. And yeah, then I'm going to go ahead and create the pull request. And then what this is going to do is that it packages up all of the software from the staging branch, merges it into the stable branch, rebuilds all of the code, and then once that happens, it gets deployed to all of our infrastructure. So we have an automated process for releasing the code to the all-peep infrastructure. And this also introduces some bug fixes for folks that are using OpenPeeps directly. Yeah, and then this takes a few seconds here, and it'll complete the process in a sec. Down here, you can see all of the things that we changed. So this the 53 changed files. Whoops. There was a server error. Let's try this again. Sometimes Codeberg takes a couple of tries to get through this. And so yeah, so it's trying it. There we go. Okay, so now we have this pull request, and at a certain point, sometime after this, created two of them. Let's get rid of. Let's get rid of one of them.
So as you do that, I'll tell a bit more about what this means to us. And for us, this is much bigger than releasing code. It's really about giving people the freedom to build, customize, and truly own the infrastructure behind their communities. As you see, we're still in the earlier stages of OpenPeeps, and we're continuing the conversation during our second live office hours. We did our first one this week on Monday. So please join us to learn more, ask questions, and help shape what comes next. This is basically from all the iterations, the learnings from the work we've been doing for our customers at AllPeep, and the foundational components of the features we have to make it easier for communities just thinking about building on their own infrastructure because of the power of ownership and owning your roadmap, right? So a lot of times we're limited on somebody else's platform. So we're here to level the playing field of what we know is the social dilemma when it comes to engaging, building our communities, and meeting their needs as it evolves, as it grows. And as we know, when it comes to innovation, remaining in permanent beta is important, right? So we can have the open mind and the sight, the vision to continue to iterate with times and for our people, no matter what's going on around the world.
Yeah. So I'm going ahead and making the release announcement over here on OpenPeeps. And this is the actual community that we're using to design and develop the software as well as like tell people what's going on. And I've been putting release announcements here as well as on our blog. Um, and yeah. Let me just go ahead and paste this. It's interesting. We have some limitations here with the with 500 characters. I'm very careful to like summarize each of these. This one is easy because it's just bug fixes, but sometimes for some of the other releases, I have to work a little harder to make sure that the the text fits into 500 characters. If not, we can always write an article. So, at least 2026-07-20 is
And that was one of the feedbacks we received from one of our customer communities in reference to how they want to express themselves a bit more within the feeds. And we do have the article features that allows for longer form conversations if you needed to add a lot more text. But when it comes to conversations and prioritizing features and knowing how and what to build for majority of our clients rather than a single client, because typically building out for a single client on the enterprise size, we can make it make sense. But when we get specific requests, it's like, okay, what does everyone else think? And then we'll ideate around what would be the best specific community unless they have the budget out. So there's tip typically a deep dive and discussion for us to really identify what's solvable when it comes to the user experience within our infrastructure. So as folks get onboarded to the OpenPeace community, please know that the design, the functionality has been built around real customers, real communities that have been having issues with other platforms or they just want a lot more. So the intent behind it isn't just the founders. It's definitely around the needs from our customers and iterating around that. So this isn't the we haven't at our utmost potential just yet as far as user experience, but we've came a long way from building out MVPs on other technologies to building out our infrastructure from scratch. This was intentionally crafted around experiences and needs of our customers.
yeah. Um, let's see. So this is now happening. The actual release will happen when I push this button, and then it's going to propagate throughout all of our infrastructure. Let's see, what sort of things maybe do we want to show folks about this? We could talk about We can talk a little bit about our roadmap, although I haven't put it together on the openpeeps.org website. But we're going into the summer of 2026 and the fall, working on a couple of major infrastructure updates. So this week, one of the things that we're working on is replacing our database. So we were previously using ArongoDB, but we are switching over to Postgres because of the licensing changes that happened with ArongoDB. And we have actually we've just merged this um, into our main line. But what we're doing here is the reason is that the ArongoDB license does precluded our ability to distribute the code and give away our software. So we had to replace the ArongoDB database with something else, and we chose Postgres. It's one of the most popular databases that are used across the industry for any number of highly secure and performant systems. And yeah, it's not a graph database, which is a little bit different. Graph databases like ArongoDB make it easier to do the connections and creating the relationships that let you navigate across a social network. But it does work just great for what we're trying to do. So in the next week, perhaps what we can do in the office hour is do demos for using the database to run analytics queries. So we've been delivering for our customers as we're building out our analytics screens. We've been doing some manual data extraction, which makes it really helpful for me as a product owner. It's really great to be able to go into the database and like run queries because it makes it very clear what we're actually storing and how we're storing it.
Right.
That's sort of. Oh yeah, sorry, you were gonna say?
No, I was agreeing. I
Oh
was saying
yeah.
right.
Yeah,
there,
and I
there.
think like yeah, like the database, that's where your data lives. And that part is actually like the asset that you can create when you're building out your community, the good feelings that people have about each other as being part of a community. Those are like really ephemeral and intangible. But all the data that you collect as people are operating the community, that can also become your asset. And we're not necessarily like helping people create like the next Facebook where you can like farm the data.
Mm,
But as the owner of the community, you actually do have access to some of this stuff. And there's a few things like, for example, you can tell where people are posting, what kinds of things they're posting, how often they're logging in. Like all of that stuff is accessible when you have access to the database. And so I'm very interested in making sure that that's shared with the community owners, but also with the people that are using the communities. It's not always obvious, like when we're logging into some new app, how much data can be gathered about us. And so we've actually updated our privacy policy to explain how much and how data is collected and what's available to community admins.
no, for
So
sure. Zach
yeah.
Johnson just joined in from Instagram. He said
Oh
amazing
yeah.
work. And then
Nice.
on your post from yesterday announcing the Open Peeps work we're doing, Rebecca Firestone
Hmm.
commented with a question. I'll ask it and feel free to answer it. So what she said was, tell us why you felt motivated to develop OpenPeep. Who's it for? Why were other open source communities not meeting your needs? I know you and I use it for video group meetings, but it looks like it offers a lot more than that. I think the biggest things we talk about the why, the definitely speak about perspective, Anka, is speaking about the other aspects of the open peeps and all peep experience that communities have the option to explore based on what their needs are.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
That's a
very
that's
thoughtful
a
comment and question.
that's a great question. um, yeah. So who is OpenPeeps for? Well, OpenPeeps is for people that want to, build and own their own online communities.
Yeah.
It's for right now, it sort of skews towards people that have technical skill and ability to be able to install and deploy it, to
Mhm.
compile and deploy it. But as we continue our work, we want to make it much, much more accessible. So it should be easy to install for everyone. Like um, the model that we're following is sort of around WordPress. WordPress has this amazing ecosystem, and another dear friend and colleague of mine actually wrote about the WordPress community ecosystem as one of the reasons to choose that technology, because what that means is you have access to people that can help you build, troubleshoot, maintain your stuff. Um, you know what? I need to take a couple of seconds to get some water. I'll be
Nah,
right back.
bro, take your time, Anka. And so just to pick up where Anka was basically speaking on where we are with OpenPeeps right now. It's basically where it's set technically is it's easier for individuals with technical background and experience to set up. But as we iterate, we're looking to the intentions is to make it easier for non-technical individuals and organizations to set up their communities on OpenPeeps if they decide that they want to do it freely of all Peep. All Peep, think of us as hosting it on your behalf, maintaining it for you, doing the customization on your behalf, while OpenPeeps allows you the power to build your community freely without having to start from scratch. And we believe communities build community how they envision it. And we also believe the people should have the option to do it themselves or with partners that they respect and they like to work with, while the OP team, align with that vision and just needed to ensure that what we have that is successful as a foundation is accessible to those from a foundational perspective to build on your communication platforms and whatnot. And to answer the question regarding why were other open source communities not meeting our needs, we've been getting a lot of feedback around user experience, right? So we know that when it comes to quite a few open source tools, it's developer focused, typically, and technical experience. And so with that being said, it's the user experience isn't as friendly versus a venture-backed technology or a technology that has a lot of capital behind it. Typically, these open source platforms are side projects for individuals and organizations to fulfill a need that has been left. So when it comes to that, we wanted to make sure what we provide out to the world. We had to prioritize user experience. So starting out with all Peep, paying customers that are looking to solve a problem, whether it's ownership, engagement, user experience was definitely top of the funnel to increase retention, help with engagement and whatnot. So we've noticed quite quite a bit open source tools in the social space hasn't fulfilled the need completely as it pertains to the communities at scale when they're used to great user experience from a social perspective. So that's one of the things we prioritize, and we wanted to contribute in. Not to say that the other open source platforms that's out there isn't good, but they're targeting a specific user type, and we're looking to pretty much target not just technical folks, but also non-technical. And a lot of our clients at All Peep are non-technical, so they're coming to us to help them build community how they envision it. So they're a big priority for us as well. That's what I would say to that. And the other part
Yeah.
of the question is that her experience with utilizing the video group meetings sounds like she's a part of the tech liminal
Yep.
community.
Yeah. She came in. She had a question, and so I invited her to come and like ask the question to the greater audience over there, and it worked out pretty well.
That's
Um,
awesome.
but yeah, so we we didn't really write this in our, and we have some of this in our LP blog, but we decided to build this open source community platform after we had an experience trying to create a Mastodon version of what we're doing. We were thinking about building on top of Mastodon originally, because that provided a lot of the profile management features, the posting, etc. And we even actually went so far as to integrate our video conferencing, the Jam software, into it. But what we had trouble with was the kinds of customizations that should be simple for a community that were not simple to do with Mastodon. It really wasn't the right software to create um, a community that was initially closed, but then was able to broadcast and share content with other communities through ActivityPub.
Mm.
And so we tried looking at how that could happen. And it just wasn't the right software to use as a baseline. And so we um, started to build our own based on the needs of customers that we have. So everything that you see with OpenPeeps here, we did not just because it makes sense to do for a community website, but we have a paying customer that really wanted this feature. And so it really has been driving us in slightly different directions that maybe we would have gone if we had just kind of like
Did it
built for ourselves
ourselves.
only.
Yeah.
But it also then means that, hey, look, we're still here, and like customers are
Yeah.
paying so that we can actually continue doing this work. Um,
Nice.
so a few things that we wanted, jams, which you're seeing now. So here's me and D'Angelo in a jam while also in the StreamYard. So we're like on two things at once, which is like kind of fun.
Yeah.
Um, we have those. We also have groups, and groups can be like private or public. So they can be, um, well, so this software actually allows for three levels of privacy. You can have
Mhm.
something be public on the internet if you set up your community that way. You can have something be public within the community so that people who are logged in can see it, and then you can have things be private to just a subset of the people. So over here, we're seeing our groups. And some of these are actually accessible even if you're not logged in. So like if I were to open up one of these fancy container tabs and I go to community.openpeeps.org, I think, yeah, so I'm logged in as the other account. Oh, and by the way, we have light mode and dark mode. And so your
Oh, yeah.
theme can change. You also get to pick the colors that are used. So here we're using this pink highlight color. And then in our, whoops, that's our website. And in light mode, we're using a blue for our palette. And that's something that you can configure with your community. So I'm going to go ahead and log out over here. And then you can actually go and see the community feed. So here's our pinned post. Here's this release announcement that I just made. So you can actually use this if you wanted to build like a resource for people to find on the internet. You can make some of this public. There's some more work that we need to do to make this easy to navigate for people who are not logged in, but it's accessible, and you can like put this through like search engines and stuff like that. Um, so so yeah, so this is public, and I can also show you here is the other community that I run, which is techliminal.ap.social. So this is where I run WordPress and now AI support groups for folks. And you can see that this, while it looks fairly similar, also looks different. We've got a background image here. I've got different colors, a different color scheme, different set of groups. But yeah, so you can create these communities as a way to like have a conversation between very specific people, and also something that is published out into the world. Um, and yeah, one of the things that we do need to figure out is a way for you to navigate to see the groups, for example.
Oh, yeah.
But there's some that are public. So like our meetups are public, and you should be able to see. There's no content in here yet, so there's nothing to show. But this is where we would show the calendar for people that they can meet up with us. And then here we're having discussions about building our plugin architecture, and so on. And in one of these future open houses, we'll have a discussion about plugins and our approach and how we're thinking about making it possible. One of the other things that we did for plugins, there's this expectation from WordPress that as the owner of the site, who may be non-technical, you can basically upload a plugin and WordPress just kind of runs with the plugin, and you can use plugins to add all kinds of different functionality without having to recompile the application, which is not how most JavaScript-based applications function. And so we had to do something to make that possible. So we started originally with a framework called SvelteKit, but we couldn't figure out how to implement a plugin that did not force a recompilation when you wanted to add it. And so we've now switched over to React for our stuff, because that allows us to build plugins that don't require like a recompilation of the code. We might still have to like restart a server or something like that. But it should be as easy to install plugins as it is in WordPress or like other systems like Drupal, tools that are designed for non-technical end users. So someday we'll also have some conversations with hosting providers who can then like deploy OpenPeeps or let people just do a one-click install and stuff like that. So if you are a hosting provider, let's talk, because we'd love to see that happen.
Absolutely. So before we wrap up, thank you to everyone who joined us for Open Peeps Office Hours Part 2. And for those that's just now tuning in or watching the replay, Open Peeps is the open source foundation, and All Peeps is the managed platform built on top of it for organizations that want a branded, supported experience without managing the infrastructure yourself. Looking at it on your own is the option for you. And if you want to explore the code, contribute, or build it yourself, visit openpeeps.org or join our community at community.openpeeps.org. If your organization wants a managed community experience, visit allpeep.com. Stay connected for the next office hours. And we appreciate everyone who tapped in today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. All right.